Before we begin, we would like to say that, in our opinion, what follows is not suitable for children, or for those of you who are Marxists, woke-wankers, or complete fucking Ming-Mongs.
First, we lost Lily Savage, and now we've lost Dame Edna. R.I.P. comedy drag. Now all we have left are the autogynephiliacs and miserable non-binary Marxist morons who never got the joke because they are a joke that we need to stop taking seriously.
Right, should we get started?
Yes!
Right, I'm ready when you are.
Here we go then. Hold tight, everyone.
Oh, for God's sake!
Piss off!
Why am I surrounded by idiots?
Hello, Grumpies.
Greetings from the Shadowband dimension.
The trans Daleks of the left are the new Puritans, fixated on ideological purity, demanding obedience and respect they don't extend to you in return, ready to exterminate anyone who isn't one of them.
The function of the human is to obey!
In another sense, modern-day Marxist Ming-Mongs are like Cybermen.
Cybermen do not subscribe to any theory of morality.
Robotic drones who insist you will be like them. Downgrade in progress. Slaves to their illogical woke logic, and ready to resort to violence when you refuse to submit. Online, they are the Cybernats and the Censorites, ready to shut down opinions they disagree with and cancel anyone who dares to do a number 6. Like all playground bullies, these enablers of grooming gangs, these promoters of paedophilia, these masters of mutilating your children, are cowards. But until you stand up to them, they, like the Cybermen, will just keep going.
They don't get tired, that's why not, and they never give up.
Because the socialist left know they are a minority in a majority capitalist non-left society, they are constantly aggravating, provoking and complaining, and they will not rest until the entire world thinks like they do.
Sausages!
What did you say?
Sausages! Man will just become like a string of sausages all the same.
I shall make the whole of creation merge into one single mind.
To what purpose?
To bring the whole planet Earth under our control.
And its people?
Adjust their minds to suit our purpose.
So much for tolerance and diversity. You have to hand it to the left, they are as devious as the non-left are complacent, and that's why they are winning the culture war. And they'll keep on winning, unless and until enough of the non-left stand up to them.
And we have got to dare to stop them.
The question is this: how bad do things have to get before you do stand up to them? I suspect the eventual answer to that will involve your children. The secret history of the left is one of playing the same game in different ways. You can trace today's modern-day Marxism all the way back to Jacobin France and the French Revolution. I have a theory on why that might be the Hartnell Doctor's favourite period in Earth history, which I'll get to in another video. The reason modern-day Marxists are miserable fuckers is that their frame is fatally flawed. Your frame, for those of you who don't know, is your frame of reference, the way you view the world. In both seduction and negotiation, whoever has the stronger frame between two people will always come out on top. The reason the left are parking their tanks on your lawn is that the left's frame is stronger than the frame of the non-left. There are only 2 possible frames you can use for negotiating the world around you. If you're not a lefty, the division is between good ideas and bad ideas. If you're a lefty, the division is between good people and bad people, the classic oppressor and the oppressed. If you view the world as being a system of oppression, it's no wonder you're a miserable fucker who wants to make everyone else as miserable as you are. If all you see around you is perceived injustice, with no redeeming qualities whatsoever, then it's no wonder that you've got no sense of humour and take yourself far too seriously. Marxism exists to destroy, not to create. That's why they mutate the cultural icons you love, such as Luke Skywalker and Doctor Who, instead of creating their own. And when they do, they're either unlikable heroes or blackwashed. Once the Marxists had got established in the motherland, they attempted to encourage similar armed revolutions elsewhere. But when that didn't work, they changed tactics, thanks to Antonio Gramsci, and went for cultural revolution instead. Instead of mass psychosis, Marxism regenerated into a mind virus. Contact has been made, and they are coming for your children. The modern-day culture war began with the feminists. It's no coincidence that the suffragette movement began at the same time as Lenin was doing his thing in Moscow. Just as Christianity is split into Protestant and Catholic, and Islam is split into Sunni and Shia, the suffragettes and the suffragists had two different approaches to the question of votes for women. One was peaceful, and the other was militant. The suffragettes were the original terrorists, and the history of the suffragette bombers is one you were never taught. Once they had the vote, like the SNP today, they struggled to find a new purpose. Feminism was hijacked, and it became the Trojan horse that the Marxists used to do what they always do: create instability. To the point where today, the non-left are holed up in Helm's Deep, and the trans Daleks are battering down the doors with the Grond of wokery.
What are you doing?
If you can't figure out what someone is doing, or why, look at the outcome and infer the motivation. If it produces mayhem, perhaps it was aiming at mayhem.
Society, no matter what form it takes and how it's organised, only functions if everyone agrees to play by the rules, even if they don't agree with them. The anarchists, who don't play by any rules, are always pointing out the flaws, inadequacies and injustices in the system while offering no solutions. What were the feminists demanding? Equality, whatever that means. Because men and women aren't equal. They are different. They are wired differently, both biologically and psychologically, and they make different choices. After the feminist battering ram, the next cultural kerfuffle was over homosexual rights, or gay rights as the homosexuals called it. And the modern culture war began with cake. Remember all those stories about independent bakeries being deliberately targeted by homosexuals who wanted them to make a cake with a pro-homosexuality slogan on it? Now you would think if I run my own bakery business, it's up to me whether I have you as a customer or not, and if you ask me to bake a cake for you I don't want to bake for you, then that's the end of it. But no. The militant, miserable homosexuals engaged in a form of entrapment, deliberately targeting Christians in order to either put them out of business, which is very tolerant of them, or to force them to go against their conscience and submit to and comply with the bullying.
This is the pattern for the future. The whole Earth, as the village. A perfect blueprint for world order.
The reason we're in the mess we're in today over the transgender guilt trip, and by the way, while we're on the subject, Leah Thomas is not a woman swimmer, and Austin Killip is not a woman cyclist. They are both men who are probably autogynephiliacs. The reason we're in this mess is twofold. The first reason is the institutional blitzkrieg of infiltration that the left actively engaged in while the non-left were asleep at the wheel. The BBC, for example, has been a hive of cultural Marxism ever since Hugh Carlton Green became Director General. But the left infiltrated academia at the same time, and what happens in the university eventually happens on the streets and in the wider culture. The other reason we're in this mess is that the left believe what they believe in more than the non-left believe in what they believe in. The left have a stronger frame, which is why they've been winning for all these years. Now, how did they manage that? Well, here's the oversimplified version. First, we believed in God, that there was someone who was cleverer than us, who created us only for us to fuck creation up. The only problem with that belief was that the church was corrupt and more concerned with its own power and status than anything to do with spirituality. So when Charlie Darwin came along with his recycled Greek idea of evolution, the church didn't have an answer, or any answer it did have didn't gain any traction. So we stopped believing in God and started believing in science instead, like Leela.
I too used to believe in magic, but the doctor has taught me about science. It is better to believe in science.
Science, not God, had all the answers, which was fine until science gave us the ability to split the planet, never mind the atom. And so we thought, well, maybe science doesn't have all the answers either. So if you don't believe in God and you don't believe in science, what's left to believe in? Politics. Instead of believing in something other than ourselves, such as God or science, we believed in ourselves, which is what led to both Marxism and National Socialism, to the point where today, cowardly Christians and aggressive atheists alike are test subjects for cultural eugenics. Society has Stockholm Syndrome. But there are signs that the people are starting to grow a spine, such as their growing frustrations with the Eco-Wankers, who are blocking the roads and stopping ambulances, while the state police dance the fucking lambada. The miserable, misery-inducing left exist to exploit weaknesses in your post-Judeo-Christian frame, and they will continue to advance their instability agenda for as long as the non-left continue in their complacency and cultural cowardice. The left is the monster that the non-left created by their tolerance of the intolerant. How bad do things have to get before you do something about it? Until the next time, resist the Marxists, don't be a sheep, and stay grumpy.
If you're a Marxist Ming-Mong and have been affected by anything in this video, good.
Fuck off!